Hey guys! Thanks for joining me. I'm Katie Bertrand. I am the owner of So Cute by Katie in Louisville, Kentucky. And I do lots of videos on Facebook and put them on our YouTube channel. So I am trying out a video on YouTube first and then going to Facebook. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. What I'm going to be working on is just putting together a really super easy quilt. This is a great project if you're a beginner sewer or beginner into quilting. So what we're going to be using is what they refer to as charm packs, layer cakes, and jelly rolls. So I guess in the quilting world they want us to also sound like we're baking. So what a charm pack is when you go to the fabric store and they already have pre-cut squares. This is a stack of fabric. This is a solid pack. They come with printed packs. This is called a charm pack. A jelly roll is when you see a roll of strips. These are, where are these? 2 inches, 2.5 inch strips. So this is referred to as a jelly roll. And then they also have layer cakes, and these come in different sizes. So this right here is all the coordinating fabrics, you know, that they put together in a design. You know, the designer puts together all the coordinating pieces. So what's really cool about using these is all the fabrics already coordinated together, so you don't have to pick and choose. And the worst thing in the world is, you know, having to make a decision and decide, you know, which fabrics you like, which ones you don't want to use, and that kind of thing. Because it can be overwhelming. So I like to just grab these, you know, if I, you know, like what's, you know, I was very drawn to the sunflowers, so that's why I went ahead. I got 2 layer cakes, and then I got 2 charm packs out of this same coordinating fabric. And like I just want to kind of show you this too. So you can see there's like creams, there's blacks, there's reds. And then I went and got solid just to kind of tie it all together. So instead of trying to find the perfect pattern or doing a lot of cutting, the great thing about using a charm pack is it's already cut. So here is what I have done, and then I'll show you the next piece I'm going to do. So all I did is I made 3 rows of 3. I used the solid black for my center square and stitched these together using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. That's what you use for quilting. And then I was able to make 3, I think out of the charm pack, I made 3 blocks like this. So I had 2 charm packs that are 5 inches big and used 3 rows of 3 with that black as the center piece. So then I have 6 squares out of the sunflower and coordinating materials, and 6 squares that are about 14.5 inches big is not enough to make a quilt. So you have to find, you know, either get more charm packs or coordinating. So what I have done is I went and just bought black fabric. I got 1.5 yards, and I made quilt squares out of the solid, the same size as what I have made in the patchwork. So I cut 6 of these. So now I have 6 solids and 6 of the patchwork material. And so what I'm done and what I'm going to continue to do with you guys is put together the other 6 pieces and make this is going to be a throw quilt. So as you can see, if I take a step back here, this is expanding my quilt, and it's super easy and super fast. So you're not spending all this time cutting all your squares and triangles and matching up. You're not spending a lot of time coordinating fabrics and making a lot of decisions. And what I think I'm going to do, if you do any embroidery, on these solid pieces, let me hold this back up again. I'm going to do some embroidery, and then maybe in a yellow, I might make it different on each square, but probably a yellow. And I'm going to just put like a little inspirational words on there, just to kind of jazz it up, add another element to the quilt. And just, you know, that way it's not total solid, but you could decide and do whatever you wanted to do. That's the beauty of doing a quilt, is you get to decide and be a designer what you want to do. So super easy. So if you get charm packs, now the charm packs, they do come in various sizes. There's like little tiny 2-inch ones. So you can really do a lot of different things. So what I'm going to go ahead, so I've done one row with black in the center and one row with 2 blacks on the outer. So I'm going to make 2 more rows just like that. And I want to show you the foot that I use. So right there, that is my 1/4 inch foot. So this little skinny piece right here, if I run that right on the edge of the fabric, that's going to create my 1/4 inch seam allowance. So it's very helpful to do that little skinny seam allowance. So let me show you. We're going to sew this together, and then we're going to talk about some more options with our layer cake. Okay, I'm going to angle you guys down a little bit so you can kind of see the table and what I'm working on. So I've got 3 more pieces. Now, one thing you do want to be aware of is I do have a couple of pieces that are directional because there is text on this. So I did have to be a little more particular about how the squares were in here, because I want to make sure that the text wasn't upside down. Most of the time it's probably not going to really matter, but if you've got designs in your materials, you want to be kind of conscious of that. So that was the only thing that I did kind of have to pay attention to, is I didn't want to have the text reading upside down. So I'll go ahead and take my black square, and I'm just going to line these up, and I'm going to sew down one side, and I'm getting this right on there. Now since these are pre-cut, they do have that little pinked edge, which is that little zigzag line. I would not cut quilting squares with pinking shears by any means. You want to use a rotary cutter so that you can get nice smooth lines, and use your quilting rulers. So let me get my machine over here and swing you all over here. So what I'm going to do, I've got this lined up. Get my foot to my machine where I want it. And I'm just going to do a little 1/4 inch seam right here. And I'm just lining this up because I want since that has that pinked edge, I want that black to actually line up on the edge of that pinking, because that's technically the edge of that square. Now, if you feel like that might mess you up, and I've got a thread hung here that I need to cut. Hold on. The machine was pulling, getting the tension messed up. If you use these charm packs and that little pinked edge is kind of messing you up, I would go ahead and just go ahead and cut that off. Okay, let me turn this around. So now you can see I just stitched really close to that. Let me swing my camera over. Y'all are kind of like looking at the wrong spot here. I think I can do a little adjusting. Okay. So here is one side, and now I'm going to do a black on the other side. Same thing. And then our next row will have the black in the center. Take this over to the machine. And then do a little 1/4 inch seam allowance. So now we have these two sides on here. I'm going to get our next row, and we're going to stitch and put the black in the centerpiece. And I'm kind of stopping because I'm just pulling. I don't like to pin. It kind of slows you down. You just hold it in place. So now we have that. So this is going to be in the center, so we're going to put our other piece over here. And again, as I mentioned before, my square right here has text on it, so I need to make sure that if I have another piece, which I do, that has text on it, I just want to make sure that they are going the same direction. I don't want one to look upside down and one not. So that's just one thing you just want to pay attention to, is if you've got a pattern that's directional on your pieces. Okay, swing you over here. So now you can see I've got a center, and then I've got my other row to offset that. So I'm going to go ahead and double check. So I've already got one done, so I'm going to go ahead and just add the rows. So I've already got this one sewed together, that I've got these two pieces, so I'll go ahead and add row number 3, which is going to be this one. Get that out of my way. Lay this back out. Again, double checking that text on I'll have to think about this next time I do get a charm pack and see what's in there. So now what I'm doing right here is I'm matching up these seams right here. And I'm going to press one seam towards the inside and one seam to the out to reduce some of the bulk. And I'm sorry if y'all hear my dog up there. He is barking at my other dog, or crying. So I'm going to go ahead and do my 1/4 inch seam, and if you want to put a pin right here, you can. I'm just going to hold it. Then we'll come back over to the machine and sew on our 3rd row. And I'm just going to push that seam allowance as I go over them, the directions that they need to be, because you can go ahead and press them before you do this, if that helps you, which I probably should have done, but I didn't. All right. I'm sewing with 1/4 inch seam allowance, and as I get to the next, you want to line up those squares. So I'm lining up, and I'm just holding it in place, so when I get there, that it's, if you want to put a pin where the seams meet, you can, but you don't necessarily need to pin all the way across. And let me just smooth this out. now you can kind of see. I'll tilt the camera up and we're going to go ahead and put our last row on. So we have a nice patchwork look and kind of color blocking as well. So again, I'm going to match up the seam lines right here where the large black square meets the patchwork squares, and hold that in place, and then get our 1/4 inch seam started. So y'all can see what's going on. And I'm just kind of smoothing this out as I go. Anytime you sew, you just want to keep it straight. Our last row is done. Now let me get you back up here where you can see, and I'll hold up what we've got. Oh, got a thread, I'm still hanging on. Okay. So now this is what our quilt looks like. So let me see what this measures. So this measures 36. It measures 41 wide by, let's see, 36. That's 41 by, what is that? By 55. So you've really got a decent size throw by using a 5-inch charm pack. But if you want to make this bigger, if you want a bigger throw, you can put borders on it. So what I would do is, if you wanted to use black, again, you could kind of frame it, and it would be, probably for this, you could do the same color as your large squares, or if you wanted to bring in another color, you can make your border all the way around just tied into another color. So again, it's personal preference. There is no right or wrong. Let me raise that up a little bit. But this is so easy because you don't have to do all this cutting for your quilt squares. So I really loved being able to do this, and so what I'm going to do next is use the layer cakes, and I'm trying to decide if I want to do like diagonals just to make it different. So if they only have these, you can cut these in quarters and make your patches that way, or you could cut these diagonal. You could even, so you could cut them diagonal and then do like a solid, in a pattern, or 2 different patterns, and then do a solid. So you can kind of mix and match. But when you get these pre-cut layer cake, jelly rolls, and charm packs, it's just really, it's really nice. I mean, you can do all kinds of things with it, but I'm just talking about how to make a quilt quickly. So if you wanted to use this size square and just make the whole quilt out of this, you totally can. So I'm gonna go shut the door. My dog is barking. Hold on. I'm back. Sorry about that. never fails when you're trying to give a lesson. Something's always disrupting, or you know, kids, dogs, I don't know. But so if you all want to help me decide two things. One, if on the quilt you think I should, let me hold this up again, if I should just leave it like it is, or should I put borders around it to frame it, and if so, if you think a black border or a coordinating color. So you can comment what you think about that. And then two, you can help me plan out my next one using the layer cakes, and if you think I should do cut diagonals and piece them together that way, quarter it, make another patchwork design. You can even do strips. You can do like 3 strips and kind of make like a rail, I think they call it railroad. So you can piece together your strips, kind of like if you did your jelly roll strips, you can still do that same kind of concept out of the layer cake. So you could make strips this way and then mix and match those strips. So maybe that's another option, and then make these big squares. So you all comment and let me know what you think. If you have any ideas, maybe if you have even made something like that, if you want to post a picture. So be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Let all your friends know, and also check us out on our Facebook page, or if you're watching on Facebook, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. So I hope you've enjoyed this little quilting and explanation of charm packs, layer cakes, and jelly rolls, and look for more upcoming videos. And I will see you all soon. Thanks so much for joining me tonight, and have a great evening.